Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a super flex mock draft from the 4th overall spot in a 12-team league over on Sleeper. Inside today's video, I'll be going over my thought process as I make every single pick inside of this draft, as well as discussing how the draft is going as a whole and the kind of draft strategy that I feel like other teams may be using in this draft. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask, if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into this 12-team super flex mock draft from the 4th overall spot. Now, in a super flex draft, things go completely differently than in a one quarterback league. In a one quarterback league, not a single quarterback is taken inside the first round in a majority of drafts, but in a super flex draft in the first round, a lot of the time you're seeing more quarterbacks go when compared to the running back and wide receiver position combined. Now, my opinion on super flex drafts is that I really look to stay away from the tight end position. I personally do not believe that the tight end position has as much value in a super flex league. I think that obviously you want to draft a tight end that scores points, but I don't necessarily think you want to pull the trigger super early on a guy like Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, George Kittle, those kind of players that are really good at playing tight end, right? These are fantastic players. In a redraft league, you might want to draft them in the first couple rounds of your draft for a one quarterback league. But here in a super flex league, I just feel like so much value is put on the quarterback position that if you draft a tight end early, I feel like you're going to be left lacking at the quarterback position as well as at some of the other more important positions. So for me, my take here on the tight end position in super flex leagues is that I definitely want to be staying away. And we'll see that in this draft. Now, obviously, there is going to be situations where a tight end falls to me and they're just sitting in a spot where I have to take them. The same thing with any draft strategy. You don't necessarily want to go into the draft thinking that you have to do one thing, because then you're going to be putting yourself inside of a box. So the roster positions for today's video, we got one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, two flexes, a super flex, and then a bunch of bench spots. The difference between super flex and two quarterback leagues is obviously that if you get stuck in a really bad pinch, then on a bye week for your quarterback, or if one of your quarterbacks is banged up, then you can just play one quarterback, and then your super flex spot, you can play running back, wide receiver, or tight end. But that is going to eliminate a lot of potential for your team. It is really going to hurt the upside of your team. So every single week you want to have two quarterbacks in your lineup. So I basically look at these drafts like they are two quarterback drafts. So the draft begins with Pat Mahomes, followed by Josh Allen, and then Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, Josh Allen is the number one pick in a majority of drafts, but don't be surprised if someone takes Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, or any of those other quarterbacks at the number one overall spot, because if the person ahead of you believes that that player is the best quarterback, then there's no way that they can get them in the second round. So people will reach here. And then we see Jonathan Taylor. We are going to go quarterback here because I know for a fact after the first round, the quarterbacks that swing back to me, there may be some value there, but they're not as good as the quarterbacks that we see up here. So we got Justin Herbert, the pervert, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray. For me, I like Lamar Jackson the best out of this grouping. Lamar Jackson's rushing upside is just so immense year in and year out. The Baltimore Ravens, sure, they lose Hollywood Brown, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's really going to affect the team at all. I think that the Baltimore Ravens are in a very solid position to succeed this season, and I really do expect Lamar Jackson to put up big numbers in 2022. When he was healthy last year, he was pretty solid, so I expect another solid season out of Lamar. And everyone knows how important rushing upside is in fantasy football. So Lamar definitely gets that tick up, in my opinion. After Lamar comes Justin Herbert, the pervert, Cooper Kupp, Joe Shiesty, Kyler Murray, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Jamar Chase, Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, Travis Kelce, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts, Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon. It seems like Sleeper just hates Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts really should be in the conversation of potentially being a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football. They bring in A.J. Brown. They have a pretty solid offense around A.J. Brown as well. And Jalen Hurts taking that next step up this season should be very plausible. So I like Jalen Hurts a ton. I would take him above Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, and Dak Prescott. I don't understand why Sleeper has him ranked so low. So we're back up on the board here. When things swing around, the quarterbacks are looking like Matt Stafford, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Trey Lance, and Kirk Cousins. If I'm being honest with you guys, when things fall my way, now, again, don't go into the draft thinking you have to follow just one strategy. You shouldn't be doing that. But when push comes to shove and when the draft falls like this, I'm taking a second quarterback here every single time. Because I know, even by the time things swing around, 6 picks later, 7 picks later here, when we get to pick again, there's probably not going to be my choice of the guys that I like. And I like Tom Brady a ton this year. I've talked about Tom Brady a bunch. I understand that he doesn't have that rushing upside of a guy like Lamar Jackson. I understand he's getting up there in age, but there is nothing, no signs, in my opinion, of Tom Brady regressing. Eventually, one year, will he fall off the edge of the earth? Maybe, if he keeps playing. But he returned for a reason, and that's because he believes that he is good to go. And I believe in Tom Brady this year. The wide receiver core in Tampa Bay is chef's kiss when they're all healthy. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, and then they bring in Julio. I don't think Julio is necessarily a spring chicken anymore, but I still think he's a good enough player to be worth like putting on the field for Tampa. So I think Tom Brady is in for a very solid season. Yet again, after Brady, we see Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, Ron Rodgers, DeAndre Swift, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Pitts. Now we have our two quarterbacks. Now we will look to not draft the quarterback for a while. So now we're going either running back or wide receiver again. Could you go tight end if you really like Waller, if you really like Kittle? Yes. But again, that is not the name of the game for me. I want wide receivers or running backs here. And we are just going to go with the best player available, in my opinion. I like a bunch of running backs. I like a decent amount of wide receivers. But here we are going to play a game of stacking, and we are going to draft Mike Evans. Some people might say, oh, Nick, that's a reach over Tyreek, Debo, and CeeDee Lamb. In my opinion, Mike Evans could easily be a top 5 wide receiver in 2022 for much of the reason why we like Tom Brady so much. This is going to be an offense that is passing the ball at a very high rate in the National Football League. This is a team that likes to throw the ball to Mike Evans in the red zone. Mike Evans has dominated, even with famous Jameis Ida W. Winston as the starting quarterback of the team in scoring a zillion touchdowns. He's a clear number one on the team. Godwin, a little bit banged up. Even if Godwin is fully healthy, I think Evans is going to be a smash pick. This season, I like Mike Evans a ton. So after Evans, we see CeeDee Lamb, Matthew Stafford, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Debo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, Alvin Kamara, Javonte Williams, Derek Carr, Saquon Barkley, Ron Jones, George Kittle. And then we see A.J. Brown, Breece Hall, Leonard Fournette, Higgins, and then Keenan Allen. So we are about to approach the running back dead zone. Now, in a redraft league, one quarterback league, the dead zone's typically after the second round. But in a Superflex league, in my opinion, it's pushed a little bit deeper. I love James Conner this season. I have so heavily talked myself into him. Now, last year, a lot of the reason why he did so good in fantasy football was because this guy was scoring touchdowns every single game. He was scoring touchdowns left and right. And this Arizona Cardinals team, even when they were on the descent, right? Typically, the Cardinals start the year off on fire. It looks like the Arizona Cardinals are unstoppable, the Super Bowl favorites. And then about halfway through the season, something happens. I don't know what it is. And the team just declines and looks terrible. Probably on Cliff Kingsbury. But even when the team wasn't playing up to that next level, even when Kyler Murray was hurt, James Conner was still putting up big numbers. Now James Conner doesn't have to worry about Chase Edmonds behind him. I think he's going to have a much stronger pass-catching role in this offense. I'm a big fan of James Conner this year. I understand why people are pointing towards regression in the touchdown category, but even if he doesn't score as many touchdowns, he's probably going to make up with that by catching more passes and getting more volume overall. So after James Conner, we see Trey Lance, Cam Akers, DK Metcalf, Ezekiel Elliott, Kirk Cousins, and Jalen Waddle. I love Trey Lance. If I'm being honest with you guys, by the end of August, early September, when you are doing your fantasy football draft, if Trey Lance is in the 4th round, that would be absolutely absurd in my opinion. He should be a guy moving up into the 3rd round Superflex leagues. He should be a guy that is widely considered a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football. He is not yet that, because there's still worries. I understand Trey Lance is probably very boom or bust, right? He's either going to be like Lamar Jackson. He's going to be one of these guys that is just carried by the rushing efficiency, or he's going to be good at running, but he's absolutely dog shit at passing. and it just gets derailed. The 49ers aren't as good as people think, and things go all wrong with Trey Lance. There's definitely two ways to think about things, but I think the risk is worth it, especially in the fourth round. I mean, it's not even a risk really at all. So we're back up on the board here. We're definitely going to be looking wide receiver since I like Dave Montgomery. I like ETN, but again, I'm not really willing to just take them here. I think we can just wait on running back and kind of salvage together a solid running back core later on in the draft. So we're just going to go wide receiver here. I want to go with my boy Deontay Johnson. Now, Deontay Johnson is currently doing what we would call a hold in. He's not holding out. He's actually just in Steelers training camp, just not training. Like, he's just not doing anything. He's kind of just watching. Maybe he's on the side doing some things, but he's not necessarily being involved in the offense. When they run out there, kissing titties Trubisky, Chase Claypool, who got banged up, George Pickens, when the offense is out there, Najee Harris, Johnson's just watching on the sideline. He wants that big deal. Will he get it is the question, but I think he's going to end up playing regardless of the deal. But something to monitor, but nothing I'm too worried about. Again, it's not even August yet. So after Deontay Johnson, we see Travis Etienne, Antonio Gibson, Darren Waller, David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Michael Pittman, Elijah Moore, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Justin Fields, Josh Jacobs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Dillon, and Dalton Schultz. So we're back up on the board here. We got our 2 quarterbacks, 2 receivers, and 1 running back here. Again, at the running back position, I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but at the 6.9, very nice. I'm not necessarily trying to pull the trigger at the 6.9 on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Seems like no teams in the draft and 0 teams have went with the 0 quarterback approach through the first 5-6 rounds. I think that's absolutely absurd to do the 0 quarterback strategy through here. Your team at the quarterback position is not going to look very good. So we are going to go wide receiver here, and we're just going to go with the most high upside plays possible and go with Mike Williams. Mike Williams is either going to be a home run hit any given week, or he is going to stink it up. He's either probably going to be a top 10 receiver or like a wide receiver 40. That's the risk I'm trying to take. I already have 2 solid receivers that I'm pretty comfortable with. Now I got that boom bust option. When Mike Williams hits, I'm going to take a dump on my opponent. When Mike Williams misses, still probably going to be fine because of the other players on my team. So after Mike Williams, we see Amari Cooper, TJ Hawkinson, Jerry Jeudy, Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. When hop back onto the wide receiver train here, we do have 2 flex spots in this league. I really think that in Superflex leagues, you need to either have 3 wide receivers or 2 flex spots, in my opinion. So we're going to hop back into the well here and go wide receiver yet again. And we kind of have our high upside picks here. I'm going to take a more safer pick here, but he does have a lot of upside as well. That is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is just a 1,000-yard receiver basically every single year of his career. This guy is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I understand he plays on the Houston Texans, and the Houston Texans are absolute dog shit, but I think people need to start putting respect on Brandon Cooks' name. After Brandon Cooks, we see Ryan Tannehill, Cortland Sutton, Kenneth Walker, Dallas Goedert, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Damian Harris, Miles Sanders, Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Smith, Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson, Drake London, Rashad Bateman, Mac Jones, Michael Thomas. So we're back up here to pick. I think in the next round, we have to take our 3rd quarterback. Now, no one else is going to take a 3rd quarterback in this draft, more than likely because the computer just doesn't do that. But if you want a 3rd quarterback, you can't just wait until like the 14th, 15th round to get that, because if you do, then your 3rd quarterback's going to be like Geno Smith or Desmond Ridder or someone who's not even a lock to play week 1 or not even a lock to play this season at all. And I want to make sure that I have someone to fill in on my bye weeks for either Lamar Jackson in bye 10 or Tampa Bay Tom in bye 11. So I'm definitely going to draft another quarterback. It might seem like a little bit of a reach, but that is genuinely what you will have to do in your drafts. We're back up here, and we're just going to take the safe approach at running back and go with Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt might struggle a bit early on in the season, but once Deshaun Watson comes back, in my opinion, about halfway into the season, I think this Browns team is going to take a fucking basically hop into a rocket ship and go to that next level. I really think Kareem Hunt is in for a big end of the half of the season. So the first half, things might not be so amazing. He's going to catch some passes. He's not going to do great or amazing or help carry your team, really. He's just going to be on your team. Play him. He doesn't screw you over. He doesn't do anything great. But I think halfway into the season, he's going to really start doing things when Watson comes back. So after Kareem Hunt, we got Tony Pollard, Gabe Davis, Treylon Burks, Zach Ertz, Devin Singletary, Jameis Winston. So we are going to be going with our 3rd quarterback here. And we already have two quarterbacks that I'm comfortable in. So I think just going with the highest upside possible is what we should do. And I think that pick is Daniel Jones. He fits with the buy narrative. We have buy 10 for Lamar, buy 11 for Tampa Bay Tom, and then buy 9 for Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones is basically in a make it or break it scenario. If he sucks, things are basically over for Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones is good, then maybe he earns another spot on the Giants next year, or maybe he goes to a different team and starts. I think Daniel Jones is not the best quarterback ever, but he has a lot of rushing upside. So he's a pretty interesting quarterback 3 in these leagues, especially if you can get him as your quarterback 3. As a quarterback 2, a little bit more risky, but I'm still fine doing that as well. After Danny Dimes, we see Dawson Knox one time if you are with me, DeAndre Hopkins, Hunter Renfrow, Elijah Moore, Adam Thielen, Pat Fryermuth, Cordero Patterson, Zach Wilson, the MILF Slayer, Mike Likiamai Gasicki, Garrett Wilson, Chase Edmonds, James Cook, Rashad Penny, Brandon Ayuk, Tyler Lockett, as well as Chris Olave. So we're back up here. We already got our 3 quarterbacks, so we don't have a tight end yet either. And again, we're just kind of waiting on that. I think we should go running back again and just kind of hunt for the upside here. I know Melvin Gordon won't be the starter on this team unless there is an injury to Javonte Williams. But if Javonte Williams does get hurt, I think Melvin Gordon is probably the best handcuff in the NFL. And I also believe that even when Javonte Williams is healthy, Melvin Gordon is still going to see a decent role in this offense. Now, I might be wrong, and Javonte Williams takes a humongous leap in his second year. I already think the guy's immensely talented, so it has nothing to do with talent. I just really think the coaches there brought Melvin Gordon back for a reason, and that is to use him. Could be completely off. And if I'm wrong on this take, I'm going to look like a dumbass because Javonte Williams would have been a steal in this draft and in every other draft if the case is that they really believe in Javonte Williams and they want to give him 100% run. But my belief yet again is that Melvin Gordon will be in like a 60-40 split, again, getting the 40% of touches in this offense. I really do think that Melvin Gordon is in a premier position in the NFL. I think Javonte Williams is a talented player and all, but I really think Melvin Gordon is going to cut into that and potentially really hurt the people who draft Javonte Williams. So after Melvin Gordon, we see Mr. Allen Lazard come off the board, followed by Ronald Jones, Michael Carter, Chase Claypool, who just got banged up. It was a arm injury, I believe, but let's pull him up. Actually, I don't think there's any need to be worried. Dealing with a shoulder injury, but they're kind of saying that they're not really. Mike Tomlin said he wasn't really worried, but like, hey, we got to note this. We'll check on him. It's not like he's going to be out games of the season. Just something to worry about right now, but he should be fine based on what I read. So now we're going to go tight end here. I'm starting to talk myself into Cole Kmet. Now, I understand that Justin Fields didn't look great in his rookie year. I understand that the Chicago Bears offense looked atrocious last year, but they changed coaches. I think Cole Kmet is the clear number 2 option in this offense behind Darnell Mooney. So when you get the number 2 option in any offense that you can draft as your tight end, and this is a guy that in training camp has kind of turned heads early on. Now, again, you don't have to buy super crazy into training camp, but Justin Fields has looked good throwing him the ball. I think there's a lot of upside with Cole Kmet. Again, we haven't really seen Cole Kmet have a triumphant season in the NFL yet, have that great season, but maybe this year is the year for Cole Kmet. And when you're drafting a tight end this late, you can almost talk yourself into just drafting 2 of them. So I'm not really too worried about that. I think Cole Kmet has a lot of upside. So after Kmet, we see Russell Gage, followed by Albert O, Alexander Madison, Sky with 2 Ys more, Ramondre Stevenson, Kadarius Toney, Michael Gallup, Hunter Henry, Jameson Williams, Noah Fant, Isaiah Spiller, Irv Smith, Christian Watson, Damian Pierce, Naheem Hines, and MVS. But before we make our next pick in the draft, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor of today's video, Underdog Fantasy, which is the best place to play fantasy football this summer. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has a $10 million prize pool, $2 million to the first place winner. All you got to do is draft your team, and that's it. There's no waivers, there's no trades, there's no in-season management, so you don't have to worry about sitting on the waiver wire all of Tuesday night. You don't have to worry about getting put on the couch by your wife because you spent all that time on the waiver wire when she needs your cuddles or whatever the fuck wives say, right? I don't have a wife. I got a girlfriend, so I can kind of figure out what might be happening here. You don't have to worry about trading. Again, your girlfriend wants to talk to you. Your wife wants to talk to you. She doesn't want you on the phone with fucking Brad from your league trying to make a trade all night, right? So, no trades, no waivers. You don't have to worry about that. You don't even have to worry about in-season management because Underdog will automatically put your best lineup in every single week based upon the scores at the end of the week. Last year's Best Ball Mania champion drafted their team in June. So there is no need to wait. You can draft right now. Click on the link in the video description down below and get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100 with Underdog. And you will receive our best ball draft kit and our fantasy football draft kit for 100% free. That's a combined $170 of value with first time deposits of $100. So please make sure you guys do check out Underdog Fantasy. I do drafts on there all of the time. So we're back up on the clock here. We have 1, 2, 3 running backs. We need some more running backs, and that is just a fact. So we're going to go, and I like James Robinson. I'm starting to talk myself into him. He's going to be healthy, but how healthy is going to be? He might be back for week 1. I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson. I don't think Darrell Henderson necessarily has this crazy weekly starting value, but Cam Akers did tear his Achilles, and we've never seen a player come back for that. I'm fine drafting Cam Akers, but I understand why the worries are there because no player has ever came back from tearing his Achilles and just been amazing. So there's a lot of reason to believe that maybe Cam Akers won't be that great, and maybe Darrell Henderson is a fantastic pick in the 12th round. So after Darrell Henderson, we see Jacoby Myers, Tyler, Boyd, Jarvis Landry, James Robinson, David Njoku, and Rondell Moore. I think it's time to hop back on the wide receiver train. We probably won't draft 2 tight ends, if I'm being honest with you, based on how we've constructed this team. If Cole Kmet ends up sucking, we can just cut him a couple weeks into the season, so I'm not too worried. I like DJ Chark a ton this year. I think that DJ Chark is the clear number 2 receiver in Detroit, while Williams is still banged up. I don't think we see Williams until about halfway into the season. We've seen Chark perform at a great level in the NFL with the Jaguars a couple of years ago. I think that DJ Chark is being slept upon heavily in the Detroit Lions offense. The Detroit Lions offense might be amazing. Their defense might suck complete and utter donkey cock, but at the end of the day, DJ Chark will still be able to put up some solid numbies in that situation. After DJ Chark, we see Rashad White, Jahan Dotson, Algier, Robert Tunyon, Kenneth Gainwell, Kenny Galladay, Tyler Higbee, Marlon Mack, Khalil Herbert, Tim Patrick, Devontae Paca, J.D. McKissick, George Pickens, Gerald Everett, Gus the Bus Edwards, and Jamal with 2 A's, Williams. So we're back up on the board here. Going to snag another running back. Again, we're just hunting for pure upside this deep in the draft. We're going TDP, Tyrion Davis-Price. This guy is either going to put up zeros or win you your league. I genuinely believe that. The 49ers have a long track record with Kyle Shanahan of not giving a rat's ass about who the starting running back is. They could literally, Kyle Shanahan could point at the crowd, pick some random person out of the crowd, put him in at running back, and that guy would be successful. It's all about the system in San Francisco. So if Elijah Mitchell starts off slow, maybe they give Tyrion Davis-Price the rock, and if he uses that hot hand, the hot hand approach, which I believe Shanahan uses, which if this guy does good, then he's going to keep getting the rock. I think that's what Shanahan does, and I think Tyrion Davis-Price could be the hot hand at a point in the season, so I think that's worthy of a pick in the 14th round. After that, we see Easy E, Evan Ingram, Raheem Mostert, Austin Hoopa, Mark Ingram, Darrell Williams, and then Brian Robinson. So we're going to close this out with a wide receiver, and we are going to go with a guy that I am just enamored with right now. Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. If Michael Gallup misses some serious time, Tolbert's going to be the number 2 receiver. If Gallup misses some time and Tolbert really elevates himself to the next level, then Jalen Tolbert might just be the number 2 receiver all season long, even when Gallup returns. So after Jalen Tolbert, we see Chuba Hubbard, Zamir White, Mecole Hardman. We see Donta Foreman, Alec Pierce, Sony Michel, Jameson Crowder, Sammy Watkins, Van Jefferson, Keontae Ingram, Kenyon Drake, KJ Osborne, Hassan Hashkins, Julio Jones, Dearness Johnson, Trey Sermon. We're back up here with the final pick in the draft. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers. In this kind of a format, we need another receiver because we want to be starting 4 every single week, more than likely. So again, we're going to hunt with the most upside possible. I like David Bell, rookie wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. Think he could be the number 2 receiver on the team. Maybe it's not him and it ends up being another player. If it does, though, it might be Donovan Peoples-Jones. You could just pick Donovan Peoples-Jones up. So I'm not too worried. Chris Carson retired, so don't be picking him. So overall, I think we have a fantastic team. Again, we have Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, James Conner, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Kareem Hunt, Daniel Jones, Melvin Gordon, Cole Kmet, Darrell Henderson, DJ Chark, Tyrion Davis-Price, Jalen Tolbert, and David Bell. I like the balance of our team. I think we did a great job. I think we probably have the best team in this league based on everything that I have seen. The only team that came close to kind of fading quarterback was team 9, who didn't draft one until, and you can't even, of course, highlight over it, but you can see right here, who didn't draft one until the 6th round. If your second quarterback is Deshaun Watson, you better draft 3 quarterbacks. You might even want to draft 4 quarterbacks because Watson might be missing half the season. They might even throw the book at him. He might miss the whole season. I don't think that's going to end up happening at this point, but you never know. So Sean Watson is certainly risky. And if you're only drafting 2 quarterbacks with him, that makes no sense. But again, Sleeper's ADP doesn't realize, and the app doesn't realize you should draft 3 quarterbacks. You should really be drafting 3 quarterbacks in these leagues. If you're crazy, you can draft 4. But with the team we got with Lamar and Tom Brady, I think we only need one more in Mr. Danny Dimes. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. Let me know what you guys thought about today's draft in the comment section down below. I really love to read the feedback in the comment section. Make sure you guys do check out that link in the video description to get your $100 first match deposit bonus on Underdog, as well as getting the free fantasy football and best ball draft kit. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.